I've been here in Edmonton since Monday. I got the call at 9 o'clock at night saying, "Yeah, Ryan Ford's going to take the fight." I'm like, "What?" Okay, he's kind of back here short notice, and like, all right then, fine. So I guess I have to do some prep work to get ready for this since we hadn't heard nothing. We didn't know of anything going on. And then last minute, so I'm like, fine, I'll get ready. So I packed up and left on Tuesday morning. I've been here since Tuesday, staying at Coach's house here at Sterling's.
Oh.
Yeah, well, the fight came up originally actually just with KO asking if I'd be something interested in like that, and I said, yeah, sure. And then we'll wait and see how his UBO title fight goes. And he won, but he didn't come back until just before like Monday of last week, right? So,
oh yeah,
like okay. And then he kind of on short notice said, yeah, we'll do it, and they put us on the card. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get ready and do it, and we'll see what happens, right?
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
And so you were originally training for David Whittam. How's the transition going now from you preparing for Whittam to now preparing for Ford?
Well, we were ready and prepared for that Whittam fight, and we were, when I got the news of having my contract canceled and the fight canceled, we're like, okay, well, maybe we'll get something with KO and check and see what they had anything. They said to check with Ford. And then he had his fight, and we had to wait. So, like, we kind of went 2 weeks not thinking we're really going to have anything. So I kind of stayed busy, stayed active, but my diet was more relaxed, not as strict as if when you're trying to cut for weight. And I had gotten kind of sick with a cold and stuff after everything. And then all of a sudden now it's like, okay, you're back in it. So it wasn't too hard to kind of get back in the swing on things because I was only really off for like a week of, not doing much. So physically fine, just, brushing up on some technical stuff now that we had a little more time to do things, right?
Yeah. Do you think the fact that the fight's only 6 rounds benefits you or Ford more?
I think him. I've done now like 2 fights at 10 rounds, and all 10 rounds for my championship fights there. Whereas this was his first time when he fought for the UBO title, to go to, I think he went to the 7th or 8th, I can't remember. I think he went 7th. I'm not 100%. But I think that was the longest he's ever gone for rounds. And he's only done 4s previously, right? So this is a 6. I tried to get more, but KO wouldn't give more. Just that when you have a 6-round fight, the pace is going to go quicker. And for myself, going against a guy that's going to be in a lower weight class, I give the fight as far as like I have the size and power advantage, where I see Ford having the speed advantage on me.
Yeah.
And for 6 rounds, he could potentially try to just score and point his way through. So that's where I'd have to try and really work on having a game plan of doing damage whenever we get in exchanges and trying to trap him close to ropes or corners and cut the rings off from him moving around too much, right? So if that would be the case, that's all I'd really be worried about is the, trying to, hit and move, which 6 rounds to kind of score. But if he wants to get in there and get in the mix of things, well, then that's going to be my territory. And I don't know how it's going to go. He could maybe want to try and prove a point or something that, his last fight, the Mexican guy that he fought, he said was running away from him. Well, I'm not running away. So we'll see how it changes having a bigger guy and for someone that's not going to go anywhere but straight towards him.
Yeah. And you said the speed advantage would go to him. What weakness do you see in Ford that you could try to exploit?
He's never been hit by anyone as hard as me.
Yeah.
I'd say that is that when you have a bigger guy. It's not that I'm, slow as molasses or anything, but I would say he'd be a quicker guy. But every opponent we've had, we talk to him after. They always say the same thing. They've never felt it being hit that hard before, and that goes from heavyweights that are bigger than me too. So if I land, that's where he's got to be, worrisome that, what happens if I land clean? And, the accumulation of hard blows, if I get to him, they'll add up, and they'll add up fast.
Yeah. And you and Ford have both fought Whittam, obviously different weight categories. Your fight with Whittam was a split decision victory for you, and then Ford had stopped him. Comparing both fights, what do you think? Like, how would you compare both? Whittam's performance, do you think fighting at light heavyweight was taking too much away from him, or? It's
a mistake for him to try and drop down to 175 was a mistake for him. Basically, Whittam, his record shows that he's taking fights for money, right? And when you take a prize fight for money and dropping down 25 pounds to get down to 175, the first good shot that Ryan landed on him was done. And I'm not taking away from Ryan, I'm taking away from Whittam and his decision to go in that fight. That was not a smart move, and that's why he got that loss on that. If he'd been in better shape to say do the same situation that we're doing right now, where we're coming in around that 200 mark, and Whittam's the fight for it, it'd be an all different story. So I don't have a problem getting in the ring, and that's what I said about this fight. I said, Ryan Ford, great, 10-0. He's a local guy. Well, I'm a local guy too. I've been here in Edmonton. I fought there before. People know of me. I'm a Canadian champ. He's got this new belt. Why wouldn't it be a good fight, right? It's nothing up for grabs for belts or anything, but you know what? I think a lot of the people that are in Edmonton here want to see it, because then they're wondering who's going to win. It's got excitement that's got written all over it. And I have no problem going into that at all. And I just want to set that tone kind of early so that people know I'm not going anywhere. The big thing is it's got a lot of contrast. Ryan's the urban kid. I'm the rural guy, right? Yeah. He's the guy that has the backing and the financial support to kind of do it. I'm kind of just doing it on my own and making do. There's a lot of contrast too, but different points that I look at it too at this point is that I know who I face for being tough fights, right? I fought the Canadian champion and won against him, and he's faced many guys. He's been a multiple champion. I've faced guys that have been 86 pounds heavier than me, 50-some pounds heavier than me. And I fought guys who, like, say, Shane Andreessen, who, he fought for the Canadian championship twice too. So, I've had good opponents, bigger opponents, harder hitting opponents, kind of thing. And I can't take away from Ryan, but I'm saying that, I think from his opponents that he's faced, it's not going to be the same. Like, I believe in myself that I've had not an easy way up. I've worked my way to get where I'm at, and I think that it'll come out for fight night for me to have that adversity proving a point that it got me where I am for a reason.